What is going on? Welcome back to Punch-Ons. This is going to be my full card predictions video for UFC Noche, Diego Lopes taking on Jean Silva. And as I have just found out after recording my whole video of predictions, this card is not even in Mexico. This Noche card is in San Antonio, Texas, in the United States of America, Frost Bank Center. Yeah, I may have just recorded a 30-minute predictions video, assuming that they were in Mexico. So my bad for that. Anyway, we move on. I think the home ground advantage I'm talking about during the prediction should still make sense. It still applies. Like they've got to have they're in Southern America near the border. Yeah. Anyway, who cares? Let's get into it. Official predictions for UFC Noche, Lopes versus Silva. Now this is a pretty solid card, not the most stacked. And the main event is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. So it's a shame that, my boy Raul Rosas Jr. didn't get to have that co-main event spot. Didn't get to wheeze all over the place and raise the roof. But it is what it is. And we get Rob Font versus David Martinez instead. I'm not going to lie, there is a lot of fighters in this card that I don't have a lot of tape on. I mean, we got Robbie Font versus this random jobber. Jared Gordon's going to get robbed. I'll talk about that later. We got KG on here. We got Alexander Hernandez versus Diego Ferreira. That's a decent fight. A few more jobbers. We got Ryan Hall's gay little brother. We got my girl Tatiana Suarez. And we got Lil Uzi Vert fighting on here too. And then a bunch of people without silhouettes, without pictures. So, yeah, it's a decent card. I don't have a huge amount of tape on a few of these fighters, so forgive me for that. There might be some casual picks early on, but that's not what you're here for. You just want to hear what I've got to say about the main card. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hang around till the end for the multis that I'll be dropping, and of course I'm going to spin the Wheel of Doom. Let's get started with these picks, eh? Before we get into the main card of predictions, I do just want to shout out and highlight the fight of the night, the punch-on of the week for this card. I believe it's going to be Diego Lopes versus Jean Silva, the main event of this very top-heavy card. I've got a feeling there's going to be some fights down below that do get a bit of shine and get things into the right direction for the card, but all the eyes are going to be glued on this main event, Jean Silva, Diego Lopes. It's got to be the punch-on of the week. All right, here we are with the picks for UFC Noche, Lopes versus Silva. If you haven't done so already, chuck a little like-ski on the video, little sub, and give us a follow on Instagram at PunchOnsMMA. Let's get into it. First fight on the card, Rodrigo Cezinando versus Daniel Donchenko. Two guys without a picture on the UFC website. Not going to claim to be an expert on either of these boys, and I'm just going to go with the guy who has the kind of home advantage. He's a Brazilian, South American. I think I checked his record and he'd been fighting better guys. The Daniel Donchenko, I know he's a lot of people are picking him, but the guys he's beaten are not good at all, and neither is Rodrigo's, but I don't know, I'll probably call this one wrong. I don't know anything about this fight. I'm going to go with Rodrigo Cezinando by decision or TKO. Let's keep going. Montserrat Rendon versus Alice Pereira. I'm going to trust in the younger up-and-coming prospect here. Montserrat Rendon is not... she's a kind of wannabe gatekeeper in this women's bantamweight division, but hasn't really even got the skills to keep the gate and to stand a base. She's fought absolutely nobody, and I think the one half-decent women's fighter that she did fight, I think it was Zalesniakova, she lost to. So not good signs for Montserrat Rendon. I'm going to go with Alex Pereira by left hook KO Sharma. She'll probably get it done by decision, but yeah, Alice Pereira is going to win that fight. Let's keep going. Alessandro Costa versus Alden Correa. No, Costa's a big favourite here, but I mean, bookies like to think they know more than us mere mortals, but what are they seeing in Alessandro Costa to have him as like a $4 favourite or something? I'm not sure about this one. Costa, he's definitely more experienced. I think this Correa guy, they're just dragging any bloody Mexican bum out of... Oh, no, he's not even Mexican. But dragging any bum out to fight on this Noche card. Their budget's been that cooked. But no Costa's, who's he beaten? Kevin Borjas, who sucks, and Jimmy Flick lately. And the guys he lost to, Albazi and Urseg, decent fighters, but nothing special. No-No's is a big favourite here. I'm not feeling it, boys. I'm going Alden Correa with a 4-inch reach advantage to get it done by TKO or decision, but I'm feeling a TKO. Alden Correa is the pick here. Moving on up the card to Zachary Reese versus Cedricus Dumas. Literally Logan Paul versus Boot Gang. This one's the bum Olympics. I don't know. This is Dumas is like the rejected island boy, bro. This is actually probably a pretty close fight, to be honest. They're well matched, these boys. I'm not really too high on either of their skill level there. Zach Reese lost to Cody Brundage and Dumas beat him. That's case closed right there. That is a sign that Zachary Reese is just going to be looking bigger and smarter and like the better fighter, and just going to do something stupid and like something dumb as fuck, and Dumas is just going to chin him. So my pick is Cedricus Dumas round 2 TKO. Boot Gang's going to get it done. All right, up to the next fight, which is Jesus Aguilar versus Luis Garul. Oh, man, there's a couple of fights that could be absolute bangers on this card, but I don't know these guys barely at all. Garul's coming off a KO loss to O'Day Osborne and a tough scrap on the Contender Series 2, I believe. And Aguilar's done diddly fucking squat in the UFC. This is a coin flip fight. I don't even know. I actually think I did flip a coin on this one before, and it landed on Luis Garul. So Luis Garul by decision is my pick here. All right, come on, where are these good fights at? Not that many. Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos. I like Tatiana Suarez. I was a fan of her on her come up to the title. She got checked by Wei Li, and that was lost her O, but it's not a fraud check if you're losing it for the belt to Wei Li. She did get out, couldn't impose her wrestling in that fight, and it was a bad look for Tatiana Suarez. But it's Zhang Wei Li, boys. It's like the him of the women's division at the moment, really, apart from Nunes. Amanda Lemos, also him, but getting old. I think she's like 40 or something. Suarez has going to be a bit more hungry, I reckon. Training that wrestling. Lemos we've seen get destroyed in the wrestling by Jandiroba. Lemos is decent, but I think she can be overpowered on the ground and submitted, which is I think Tatiana Suarez will be licking her lips. And I back Suarez in here to be stronger, a bit more like buff, and wrestle to a 30-27 decision. Maybe a submission, but I think Lemos will be crafty enough just to stay safe, and Suarez will have a comfortable wrestling-based 30-27 decision, threatening a few submissions and probably looking not that good on the feet. So I think she'll stick to the ground game. I got Suarez by decision. This pathetic dude, Claudio Puelles versus Joaquim Silva. I can't pick this little glass-jawed jiu-jitsu nerd Puelles. Like, he's Ryan Hall's bitch little brother. I don't know. I think maybe Ryan Hall's a bit more of a bitch. But yeah, jiu-jitsu guys in the UFC, we've seen it happen. You all watched that Dan Hooker fight with Claudio Puelles, and if you didn't, don't bother. It was an absolute disgrace. Royce Gracie would be rolled over at his grave. Not that I don't think he's dead, but you know what I mean. Royce Gracie would be ashamed of this young man in that Dan Hooker fight, especially. Silva's got a shit record. He's 13-6. He's actually got a reach disadvantage, but that won't really matter because Claudio Puelles will just be laying on his back on the ground anyway. Yeah, look, Joaquim Silva's nothing special either. The guys he's lost to, though, you gotta give him the respect for that. He lost to Drakkar Klose, who's still pretty decent. He just beat what's his name, old mate Edson Barboza. I was thinking Edmund Shabazi and Edson Barboza. Yeah, Drakkar Klose just beat him, and then Arman Saryukian beat Joaquim Silva by KO, but he actually got chinned by Silva in that fight randomly in I think round 1. and he's beaten Ricky Glenn, who's nothing special. But I can't pick Claudio Puelles to win a fight in 2025. I'm going to go with Joaquin Silva, easy round 1 KO within 3 minutes. Round 1 KO by Joaquin Silva is my pick. Jose Daniel Medina versus Dusko Todorovic. Another pretty coin flippy fight, to be honest. Both guys are coming off 3 losses in the UFC. Both have lost to Zachary Reese, which sort of shows where they're at there in middleweight. Both have also, though, had some shit draws and lost to some killers. Medina lost, I think, by KO, where he looked a bit tough and showed his chin against Ateba Gautier. And then he lost, I think before that he lost to Gadzia Sulov, who's, I think, pretty decent. And all we sort of learnt about Jose Daniel Medina was that he's just a tough, blobby Mexican who has a mad chin and will put on an entertaining fight. Basically, in Australian, he's a tough cunt, but not a great fighter. Dusko Todorovic is nothing to write home about at all either, but he's also had some rough matchmaking in the UFC. He got Mansour Abdul Malik and Christian Leroy Duncan. I would not want to fight either of those two dudes. As far as how this fight goes, I'm going to trust in the slightly more technical Dusko Todorovic to get this one done by decision. I just think it'll be Jose Medina being unskilled and blobbing around out there, throwing shit like jabs, missing a couple of leg kicks. Todorovic will just be going a bit more forward and just have better octagon control, and he'll win a 29-28, 30-27 lame-ass fight that's just boring, and Todorovic wins. I don't mind Todorovic. I don't mind either of these boys, but just a bit of a slop fight, that one. I'll go with, Todorovic by decision. Alexander Hernandez versus Carlos Diego Ferreira. This is a banger of a matchup. This is probably banger of the card, I reckon, outside of maybe the main event. But Hernandez versus Ferreira, sick fight. I've been flip-flopping on this one. I still am. A lot of people are picking Diego Ferreira, but I think that like 70 or something % of people on Tapology are picking Hernandez. Both of these boys, I reckon, have kind of found their ceiling in the UFC. Well, Diego Ferreira definitely has, and I think he's 40. And Alexander Hernandez is not a young guy either, but I can see Hernandez coming a bit more back into his prime. He's been active as fuck. So I don't know who's... I think in a fight like this, where the two lads are probably going to be pretty evenly matched and they're both well-rounded, they've both got the ability to hurt and finish each other in a lot of different areas, it's going to come down to who's more locked in, who's got the better fight IQ, who's hungrier, and then who just gets luckier or flukier too, I guess. That's the mixing pot of combination of factors that go into a cage fight, you know what I mean? And the intangibles, I feel like, are in Alexander Hernandez's side on this one. I like that Hernandez has been really active. This is his 4th fight within the last 365 days, like year. Ferreira has been out for a while, and his last loss was against he got KO'd, I think, by Grant Dawson, or submitted by Grant Dawson, and then he had some time off before that as well. So I don't know that he's on the trajectory. Look, if it was Carlos Diego Ferreira versus, I don't want to say like anyone else, but I just think at any other time where this fight would go down, where Alexander Hernandez isn't coming off that big win over Chase Hooper, which it's Chase Hooper, but he's coming off a big win. He'll be feeling good. He's had basically a training camp and then a free fight where he took no damage, and now he's like straight back into another big fight. He'll be feeling like on top of the world, and I just think he'll have a bit of momentum that Ferreira won't be able to match. Ferreira's, I reckon, on his way out. He's an old school guy. He's a bit of a gatekeeper in his own right, and a bit of a legend, bit of an old head, bit of an unk, you got to say. And I just think Unk's probably still got it. Unk probably still can and will win. I don't know. It's a 50-50 fight to me, this one. I think this is a coin flip fight as well, and that's why I'm leaning towards the intangibles, because I think the intangibles you can count on being with Alexander Hernandez. He's going to come in on weight, in shape. He's had a good little run. He's got momentum. I haven't seen how Carlos Diego Ferreira looks lately, and I can't trust him. I think a lot of people will probably call that a casual pick, but I think the safe option here is Alexander Hernandez, and I think he'll do it by points or TKO. That's a good double pick on that one. I reckon it'd probably be pretty high odds too. I didn't cash in on Hernandez against Hooper, and he was paying $4 or $5 or something. So maybe you got to put some respect on Alexander Hernandez. So Hernandez by decision is the pick, maybe TKO. Let's keep running to the first fight of the main card: Santiago Luna versus Quang Le. Another guy without a picture, but I think Santiago Luna, from what I can gather and what I've understood, is that he's a pretty big prospect, up and coming guy. That they want him to win. He's got his country listed as United States on here. I'm sure with a name like Santiago Luna and a big main card slot on the UFC Noche card, Luna must be some sort of prospect. He must be some sort of guy. He's above these other guys on the card. Not that many people, to be honest. His card is a bit weak. But I'm going to go with the younger, more up-and-coming prospect here in Santiago Luna. Quang Le has not shown me anything special. He's also has basically showed that he's chinnable, and he got chinned, I think, by Xiao Long, who we just saw isn't that good either. Although I thought he won his last fight, I think, against Su Young Yu, but I was not impressed by his performance. I don't know much about this Luna guy. I'm going to take a chance on him in his hometown. Well, if I thought I'd assumed he's a Mexican, or he must be some sort of Mexican dude. That's probably racist. I'll take my chance on him with a friendly crowd. Luna's going to win by TKO or submission and get done and dispose of Quang Le in Mexico. Kelvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Kelvin versus Dustin. Man, look at the state of him. He's an absolute G, Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin G, inner G Gastelum, man. He's a legend, Gastelum. Look at the state of his, look at his arm reach. What a dude, man. All right, Kelvin. I don't know about this fight. I mean, I kind of do know, to be honest, and I think a lot of people are slipping on this one. I think a lot of people are picking Gastelum here, but really, yes, Kelvin has done way more and is probably way more of a legend and will have reached a peak higher than Dustin Stoltzfus will ever reach. But we're talking about a fight in 2025 late 2025 between Kelvin Gastelum and Dustin Stoltzfus. These guys, especially Kelvin at this point in his career, is that they're win one, lose one fighters, and they're both on a collision course here because I think they're both coming off a loss. 88% or something of people are picking Gastelum on Tapology. Really? Are we that confident about Kelvin? I think you got to pick a fighter on the way that they actually are going to show up and fight. And what does Kelvin do in his fight? He shows up, he blobs around, he shows off a sick chin. He's got a mad chin. He takes a punch. We know Kelvin's got a sick chin because he's been chinned that many times and he just keeps going. Stoltzfus isn't that great, but his hands are decent and he's fast-ish. He's going to pose some threats to Kelvin Gastelum. This is not a clear-cut, easy decision, easy win for Kelvin Gastelum. I reckon this is a Dustin Stoltzfus win. I'm not seeing Kelvin. I think Kelvin's just going to do what he normally does, which is just maybe win round 3, take a bunch of punches, have a mad chin, land a few too. And I think Stoltzfus maybe could get chin. His chin's definitely not as legendary as Kelvin's, but I just don't think he's going to take that many good shots from Kelvin. This could be a completely washed pick, this one. But I'm feeling a Dustin Stoltzfus just based on Kelvin not doing anything of impressive note, but having a good chin. So Kelvin will stand, but I reckon Stoltzfus by decision is the play here. You know, I could see a Kelvin KO or even Kelvin by decision, but I'm going to go officially lock in Stoltzfus by decision. Then we got Rafa Garcia versus Jared Gordon. Yeah, I like many other people, are putting a bit of respect on Jared Gordon here. He could be even more of a favourite, I reckon. I've gone against Jared Gordon many times and he surprised me a lot. He definitely won the Pimblett fight. He definitely could have won the Nasrat Hakparas fight. That was a sick fight. And having looked at Rafa Garcia's paltry record, like, you know, good 17-4 record, but his recent like top level of his fighting career has been a win over Vince from Hell Pichel and a decision win over Clay Guida and a win over Mahashate. Whoa, bro, you beat Mahashate? You beat Vince from Hell Pichel? Whoa. Tell me you didn't take Clay Guida to a decision, bro. Whoa, this guy. Anyway, Rafa Garcia ain't done shit. Is not shit. Ain't shit. Jared Gordon is shit. So, yeah, that's the way I'm going to put this fight. Rafa Garcia ain't shit, but Jared Gordon is shit. He's the shit. He is going to win this fight by decision unless he gets robbed again, the poor bloke. Putting some respect on the name of Jared Flash Gordon, he will win this by a close, technically like argued split decision, 29-28. An absolute nail-biting, razor-thin fight that actually Jared Gordon wins clearly. So Jared Gordon will win this fight by decision. Co-main event time, we have got Rob Font versus David Martinez. A lot of people on the same boat of this one. I'm picking Rob Font in this one. Rob Font, he's been turning away contenders like these at bantamweight for years. That's what he's known for. He is that guy at bantamweight. He's just turned back Gene Matsumoto, Kyler Phillips, and he even tuned up Adrian Yanez back in the day. It seems like when Rob Font gets one of these young up-and-coming prospects, Martinez is 27 or something, so I'm not going to reach too far and call him a young, up-and-coming, hype, exciting prospect, especially at bantamweight. But when Rob Font gets these types of matchups, he generally holds down the fort, but he gets, then he goes and gets beaten by the good guys or the guys above him like Figgy or Sandhagen. I think this is a good matchup for Font. He's got a reach advantage. He's got a leg reach advantage. He's got a height advantage. He's got experience advantage. It's his like preferred style of fighting. He's got a guy who's not a heavy known wrestler. He's got, this guy's got some good TKOs, but over who, I reckon Font's chin, even if he does get hit, will hold up, and I reckon he'll be elusive and crafty enough to get a clear 30-27 decision win against Martinez. Crowd's going to hate it because I think he's a Mexican guy, but Rob Font's going to ignore the boos, get it done by clear, crafty decision, and he might even mix his wrestling in. Riding with Rob Font in the co-main. Finally, boys, we have the main event. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting on this card, this main event. It's the fight we're all here for. It's the rest of it does feel a little bit like filler and shit compared to this fight. This should be a good fight. Let me first begin and preface this by saying I am a big Diego Lopes fan. I like Diego Lopes, and I rate him as a fighter. I don't just like his personality. I rate him as a fighter, and I can see a lot of positive attributes in Diego Lopes. He's tough, he's gritty, he's unorthodox, he's got a decent gas tank, blockhead, he moves forward, he's got, a cardio, decent gas tank, he's got a lot of different feathers to his cap and different ways to win. I didn't say he has a lot of technically skillful ability or fight IQ or speed, and those three things could be a problem in this fight. I don't think that Diego Lopes is fast and precise and technical enough or has the right decision-making instincts when he's in a scrap and the right fight IQ to beat Jean Silva unless Silva gasses out. Fuck, I just set the dogs off in my neighbourhood. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's Silva has to fuck up, I reckon, to lose this fight. That is a little bit disrespectful to Lopes because he does have ways that he can impose his will and assert himself in this fight. And to say that Jean Silva's got to fuck up or gas out or slip on a banana peel to beat him is a little bit disrespectful. But that goes to show that I have a bit of faith in Jean Silva. I've watched all his fights in the UFC and every time he's had moments of uncertainty, but he's always warmed up into the fights and gotten better and better and better. I think there's one fight that's a bit of a question mark for him, which is I think it was the Drew Dober fight where he started to slow down, gassed out, but got a win by a doctor stoppage. I think that was that fight. And I was a little bit sus on the Weston Wilson performance from Jean Silva. Like, Weston Wilson is dog shit. And yes, Silva treated him like dog shit and fucked him up, but it took him a little while and it was a little bit interesting at the start. That fight was a bit longer than it should have been, is basically what I'm saying. So, yeah, look, there are some question marks about Jean Silva. We've got a bit more tape on Lopes and we know that he's pretty decent. He's pretty consistent. We know what his fighting style is and how he's going to go. We know that he's got a good gas tank. He went 5 rounds with Volkanovski and didn't get disgraced in there. Granted, yes, it's an oldish Volk. Well, a later stage of his career Volk. But I didn't lose a lot of stock on Lopes in that Volk fight for his performance. He did well in that fight. Lopes is going to be Jean Silva's hardest fight, and he better come prepared, I reckon. If his gas tank isn't up to it, if he's slacking, if he's not respecting the risk of Diego Lopes will find him out. He will show him levels if Jean Silva is not him. I kind of got a bit of a feeling that Jean Silva is him, but it's lessened a little bit now since we've had this little fighting nerds collapse lately with Rufy and Baralho both losing on the Paris card. So Jean Silva's taken a bit of a last stand here for the fighting nerds, and he needs to do it for them. He'll be, if he is coming ready, he should get it done. I think if I pick Lopes, there's always the chance that Jean Silva just comes out looking phenomenal and schools him and knocks him out in round 1 on the feet just easily, and then I look like a complete fucking idiot. Probably not an idiot if you were picking Diego Lopes, but that's the worry I have, and it's not necessarily a worry because on the other side, if I pick Silva and we get like a crafty blockhead, like what I'm describing performance from Lopes, I'll be dirty with myself because I kind of did that last week with the main event. But last week I did end up going with the heart, and I should have listened to my head. I think my head this time is telling me that Jean Silva's going to win this. Lopes, I like him, and he's the one that I reckon could have a fairy tale sort of pulled out of his ass, and all of a sudden Lopes is back, and the fighting nerds are dead, and Lopes is back in the title discussions. But I don't want to see Volk versus Lopes too, really, and I don't really see it being the outcome here. I think my head tells me when I'm projecting myself a week ahead of now, what's the storyline going to be? I think we're going to see a Jean Silva clinic. I think he's got the technical ability to make Lopes look shit on the feet. And that, I think, is what's going to happen. I think Silva's going to be patient and respectful in round 1, and he will take his time, and it'll probably have a pretty boring round 1 while Lopes just sort of starts marauding in and crashing forward, and Silva's just backing away, and maybe Lopes has a moment where he trips him up against the cage or something, or he's got. We see a bit of octagon pressure from Lopes, but we see Silva just getting his reads and downloading data and moving freely around the octagon. I don't know that Lopes will look to wrestle, although he could. This is another Benoit last week type scenario but I reckon Silva is going to stay elusive for round 1, and we could see Lopes maybe win round 1, but I reckon later in the round we'll start seeing Silva tune him up and like already get his reads. I don't think it'll take him too long to work Diego Lopes out. Lopes is Lopes. He's got his style where he touches his neck and fucking moves forward and crashes ahead and his mullet's flopping around. You watch two Diego Lopes fights and you know what you're going to get with Lopes. Silva, yes, there's tape on him and we've seen that he's dynamic and that he just wants to be, probably doesn't want to wrestle. Apparently they're not doing too much wrestling training over there at the Fighting Nerds. So you never know here. You never know whether Lopes will just completely grapple fuck him and wet blanket him. I don't see Diego Lopes doing that. I don't see that being his style, especially in front of the Mexican crowd. He'll want to have a stand and bang type of performance, and that's gonna play nicely into Jean Silva's hands because I think he's gonna school him on the feet. I think Silva will get his reads in round 1, round 2, 3, just starts taking over the fight and showing just a striking level and clinic on him, a bit like a Mavov sort of thing last weekend. But I reckon what'll happen. Oh shit! I'm doing this again. I'm going for the the finish. I think round 4. Here we go. Let me cook. Listen here. Round 4 after a couple of clear rounds for Lopes for Silva, where he starts working in and he's getting more and more and more. I think the crowd's gonna start booing because I think it will be a little bit of a low pace fight. Silva will be getting into it, but I still think he'll be keeping Lopes at distance and moving around and sort of dancing around the cage, and the crowd's gonna fucking boo, I reckon. Silva's Brazilian, Lopes claims to be Brazilian, but I think he's kind of Mexican. I think Lopes will have the home crowd advantage. After round 3, when he starts getting some boos, I reckon Silva's just gonna go, fuck this. I want to make a statement here and call out Volk for a title fight after this. So I reckon Silva's going to push the pace in round 4, land something disgusting on Lopes, maybe like a spinning back kick to the body or a big jumping knee to the body or something. I can see Lopes having his hands up like this and having a high guard, but Silva taking advantage of that with some kind of hectic like liver kick or body knee or something. It's just something unorthodox that's going to knock the wind out of Lopes and drop him. And I think at that point, Lopes will have taken enough damage that the ref will not need to see anymore, and we'll see a somewhat early disputable stoppage TKO for Jean Silva in round 4. Yeah, I'm going to try the round 4 finish again. We'll see how that one goes. It didn't work out for me last time, but Silva's got what he needs to finish Diego Lopes here. It's just a matter of, is Lopes's chin just unbelievable, which it might be. In that case, if Diego doesn't get chinned, I could see Lopes winning rounds 4 and 5 or maybe even just round 5 of the fight. And Lopes by decision is not out of the realms of possibility. I just reckon Jean Silva is going to be pissing all over the octagon after a big moment over Diego Lopes. So Jean Silva is my official pick by TKO round 3 or 4. And I think he's going to, be one of the first guys lately to finish Diego Lopes. So, I'm going with Jean Silva, round 3, round 4, TKO, after building into the fight, downloads his data and lands something nasty on Lopes and puts him down. That's my official prediction. We're going with Jean Silva. Alrighty, so with those predictions out of the way, boys, I just want to run through a last few little segments. First one of those will be the lock of the week, and a little bit difficult to pick this week. I do think that Jean Silva was a decent option, but I'm going to just go based fully on vibes with the other Silva of the card, which is Joaquim Silva. This in no way is a representation of how good I think Joaquim Silva is. In fact, I don't think Joaquim Silva is all that good, but look at the state of him. He's jacked as living fuck. He is a cranky Brazilian dude who kind of got embarrassed in a couple of his fights, and he's looking for revenge. And Claudio Puelles is in the wrong place at the wrong time. And even though I'm probably overselling how shit Claudio Puelles is, he's still shit. And I think he's far more shit than Joaquim Silva. And I can just see Joaquim Silva giving this guy the Modestus Bukauskas Paul Craig treatment, knocking him out cold. Round 1, lock of the week, Joaquim Silva. We got our lock of the week last week with Craig, and I'm continuing on with that energy of just big boss mofos just ploughing down these little jiu-jitsu nerds. Joaquin Silva's my lock of the week. He's going to be featuring in plenty of my multis. Dog of the week this week, boys, is Dustin Stoltzfus. Dustin Stoltzfus is paying well over $3. That is some disrespect on Dustin Stoltzfus. And what am I doing here just talking up Dustin Stoltzfus like he's some absolute god of the octagon? It's Dustin Stoltzfus. I don't know. It's Kelvin Gastelum. I don't know. You can't put that much respect on Kelvin to have Dustin Stoltzfus, who's a fit, in shape, strong, fast, meat-headed fighter. He's going to give Kelvin some problems, and I think $3.40 or $3.50 or whatever it is a pretty juicy little number there, and the dog of the week's got to go to Dustin Stoltzfus. I'm picking him pretty confidently. On to the safe multi of the week. Now, of course, gamble responsibly. No multi is ever safe. If you can't afford to spend that money, don't gamble it on UFC. However, if you do have a little bit of money to flutter around, what I would be doing with it this week with my safe multi is putting it down on the ones that I'm most confident based on vibes, based on fight style, matchup. These are just the guys who I'm feeling like should really confidently get it done this week. And that's going to be my girl, Tatiana Suarez. Absolutely reckon she's going to get it done. Joaquin Silva's my lock of the week. He's going to get it done by TKO or decision. Suarez will get it done by sub or decision if you like to play the double chance. Jared Gordon, respect on his name. He's getting it done by decision, maybe TKO. Rob Font's getting this one done by decision and holding down the gate in the bantamweight division. And Jean Silva, the least confident of all of these probably, but I do see him getting it done by TKO. And if we'll talk about getting a little bit spicy with which round in the next one, but that safe multi there, even that's great odds for a 5-leg, pretty safe multi. It's paying $72.97. Rude not to, I reckon. Sicko multi this week. It's going to start with my dog of the week, which is Dustin Stoltzfus by decision. That's a pretty decent looking number there. Alex Hernandez, he's a very, very pick-em kind of even odds at the moment with Carlos Diego Ferreira. I think they were $1.91 to $1.93, but you're going to get some level of value on that 50-50 fight. So why not throw it on the informed guy, the active guy, the proven guy? Well, they're both proven, but the recently proven guy in Alexander Hernandez. I think he'll get it done by decision, but maybe just money line on him is the way to play this one. Joaquin Silva, I've already talked about him. I just think if you want to add a little bit of extra bonus value there, you can add in a round 1 or round 2 TKO or both. I think there's ways of doing Joaquin Silva by TKO in round 1 or 2. And finally, we're picking that round this week. We didn't do so good with it last week, but this week I'm feeling it. I'm feeling somewhere between round 3, round 4. Jean Silva's gonna start picking up the pace and get this one done. So let's go with Jean Silva round finish based on round 3 or round 4 TKO. And if you work your magic and put something along the lines of that little combination into your whatever betting app it is that you use, you're going to get some pretty nice looking odds around about that $700 mark or above, depending on how specific you get with your bets. That's going to be my sicko multi of the week. After that, we are going to talk about next week's news. We sort of picked 2 good ones last week and 2 pretty ordinary ones. I've picked 3 different headlines this week that I think could happen. The first one of those is UFC Noche card over-delivers. I think a lot of people are not that excited about this card, but a lot of people are kind of like me, giving it a lot of slack, knowing that the UFC's got some banger cards coming up in October. I reckon, though, that when there's a sleeper card like this where there's a lot of unknown guys or guys who are trying to prove themselves and there's a big hometown kind of vibe going on, there's always some awesome moments and these cards usually deliver. And I think because everyone's underrating this UFC Noche card, it's primed to over-deliver and be a banger matchup and just kick us off into the season of epic fights. So I'm looking forward to this card to be an over-delivering card. Next headline is going to be Suarez back in the mix. Tatiana Suarez is going to be back right up there in title talks after this performance. I think she's going to dominate Amanda Lemos, and I think she's going to put a stamp on it as a performance. And people are going to be saying, yeah, look, it was Weili. We forgive her for losing to Weili. Anyone in that division is going to lose to Weili. Weili's now moving up to a different weight class to fight Shevchenko. So I really think that Suarez is going to be, basically, if she wins this fight dominantly, back in number 1 contender status. So yep, Suarez back in the mix. That's what I reckon is going to happen. Then the final bit of news that I reckon I'm forecasting is Dumas gets paid. This mofo, Boot Gang motherfucker's been broke as fuck. I think he's had some legal troubles and there's been a bit of shit going on for poor Boot Gang. He had to buy another Glock or something, or he had to get another face tat. But yeah, he's been a bit broke. I think maybe the Wheel of Doom has ruined his pay packet here. But no matter what, Boot Gang's going to show up. He's gonna have a go. I think he might even get something crazy like a bonus or I don't know. The Wheel of Doom reckons he's getting a no contest, but I can see Dumas getting a crazy looking KO here or being KO. That'd be sad for Boot Gang if he got broke and then got KO'd to the Shadow Realm as well and got his career ended. But at least he's going to show up. He's going to get his show money, and Boot Gang's going to be back on the streets doing whatever he does. All right, and finally, we've got the Fraud Watch section. Now, I'm sorry to say it, but Mauricio Rufy, you are going on Fraud Watch, my guy, and your crimes are skipping leg day and not focusing on your wrestling in training. Against Benoit Saint-Denis, you got checked, brother. You got fraud checked. You did not even get a chance to get your striking going, and you cost a lot of people and multis. Now, thankfully, you've got Tubby Man Tybura on your team as well, and he's the one that fucked all my multis originally. But if that had got through and I would have let him cook on you, Mauricio, you would have been in the mega bad books. I'll let you off with a warning this time, but you are on Fraud Watch, my dude. Alrighty, it's time for a Punch-Ons classic. It is time to spin the Wheel of Doom. Yes, the Wheel of Doom. I was calling it the Wheel of Violence last week, but certain circumstances have made me realise that the Wheel of Doom is a better name for it. So here goes the Wheel of Doom for this week. What do we got? Come on. What doom shall be inflicted this week? No contest. All right, no contest is what the wheel is spitting out. Basically means which fighter is going to be a fucking dirty cheat. All right, let's have a look. Man, I don't know much about these early card guys. Boot Gang's not a bad pick, man. Cedric Dumas. Don't know why he just sprung to my mind at all. But yes, that's a strong contender. Anyone else going to get... Oh, there. This is a Noche card. There's likely to be some cheating going on here. Claudio Puellas. Nah. KG, Dustin Stoltzfus. Stoltzfus could be a cheating dog. He might just get a no contest through to a head clash or just them doing something stupid. I'm going to go with Boot Gang. I'm going to say that Cedricus Dumas is getting a no contest against Zachary Reese. Don't ask me why, but the wheel has spoken. And that will just about do it. So thank you guys so much for sticking through it if you have. Hope you enjoyed this week's video. A little bit different to last week's. I'm still trying to find my groove, but hey, plenty more fights coming up and lots of time to refine and adjust and make this channel awesome. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the fight breakdown. Give us a like on the video, subscribe, follow the channel, follow me on Instagram at PunchOnsMMA. Hope you enjoy the fights and let's go Noche. All right, adios. Enjoy. Punch on.